The
Okay,
record the
can I start?
Yes, you can start, sir.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and happy Boxing Day. So I hope we are all enjoying our festive period. So before I proceed, I would just like I'm so sorry. I would like everyone to please on their video. Let me see everybody's face as we are enjoying the festive period. Then we go straight to the business. Just for a minute. Just for a minute. I hope we can all hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, so I can see Mr. Omidin Ayomiposi. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I believe we are. I don't know. Probably we are not in a conducive place to on our camera. Okay, fine. That will be fine. Okay, thank you very much, Isaac Badmos, for joining. I'm grateful. So now let's proceed. Now we have something that is very important in our face. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Akindamola Olugbogi. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for calling your name that way. Thank you very much for joining. So without wasting much of our time, we have a very important topic right in front of us, and it is risk management, everybody's business. And quite a lot of people might be wondering, okay, why this topic? Why risk management? Why is it important? Before I proceed, I would like to inform us that, after the pandemic, statistics shows that 60% of small, medium enterprises have shut down till date. And the question is, why is this happening? Does it mean that they don't have enough capital? Does it mean that their staff are not competent? That is the main reason why we are having this meeting this morning. So I would like to share my slides so we can see what I have here. But mind you, I would like to let us know that I will be telling more of stories than my slides. So in case you see that I did not finish one slide, I just go to something else. I just want us to get the real understanding about risk management. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you very much. So I proceed. My agenda today, although I won't be speaking much more on every one of them, but I can assure you that I will deal with more of it, the key and the vital points. So the first thing I'm going to tell us is about the basic knowledge of risk management, which is very important for this meeting. Then second thing I'll talk about the significance of implementing effective risk management strategies for business owners to protect their assets, their reputations, and also their financial stability, which is very important for every business. Number three, I'm going to talk about the benefits of proactive approach to risk management and to implement measures to mitigate them before they escalate. Then the last one is to discuss the role of risk management in building resilience within a business, enabling it to adapt and recover from unexpected challenges and crises. Thank you. So now, before I define the word risk management, I would like us to look at this quote by Gary Cohn. He said, if you don't invest in risk management, it doesn't matter what business you are in, it is a risky business. So whatever business you are doing that you do and you do not put a proper risk management plan in place for it, that means you are just running a charity company, because eventually you might end up closing down the company. So it is very important that you put risk management in every business, because I must tell you that this life entirely is a risk. The fact that you wake up in the morning is a risk. The fact that you go to the bedroom is a risk. The fact that you step out of your house, go to your workplace is a risk. But the most important thing is how to mitigate risk, how to mitigate all these risks from affecting your productivity and your objective. So that is the main reason why we are here today. There's another quote by William Gibson. He said, "We have no future because our present is too volatile." Quite a lot of things has happened over the years. I can remember back then in 2014 when interest rate was very good. Quite a lot of people were busy putting their money on treasury bills and everything. But now, who can just guess the interest rate of these days? It is quite very low to that of 2014. That 2014 was 14%, but now it is even very low than 14%. So a lot of things has happened. Every year things are coming on. We are in a volatile world. So we need to have risk management in order to navigate every choppy waters that come to us. Then I proceed. The evolution of risk management. Back then in 1970s, we have a credit and a hazard. It was just normal credit and hazard that we see as a risk back then. So, but when you get to 1980, it turns to market risk. Well, whenever you are bringing your product to the market, you have to ensure that your product it align with market regulations. Also, the credit and hazard. Then it moved to strategic, operational, financial and hazard. Now in 2000 till date, we have the emergence of ERM framework, of which I'm still going to talk about. Now let's go with introduction. ERM and seatbelts. This place says about blaming ERM, that is enterprises risk management, for a company's failure is like riding in a car without a seat belt, then blaming the seat belt for your injuries. This quote is from Panning. When you are trying to, it is very mandatory whenever you are in your car to use your seat belt. But most people don't really take it as serious because they feel like, oh, you start to joke and let me be good. So, blaming your enterprises because you don't have a risk management plan is a very thing you need to take into cognizance, because they only work when you use them. If you don't use risk management in your business, if you don't use it at all, then you are exposing your company, your business into potential risk, of which will eventually might lead you to bankrupt. Now, what is risk? We have two words that was merged together. We have risk and management. Explaining these two words will give us a clearer view of what we are talking about. Is a risk can be defined as a potential loss or injury or adverse outcome resulting to a particular outcome or decision. Now, let's imagine you are trying to hold a picnic in a park. Quite a lot of companies are doing their end of the year party, and you can see UBA have done theirs, GTB have done theirs. Everybody are trying to do it. And your own company, you are planning to do your own as a picnic in a park. And when you get to the park, who can just guess what could be the potential risk of having that picnic in a park? The potential risk of having a meeting in a park could be rain. That is the highest risk there. And having a proper planning for to mitigate such risk is very essential. So risk always comes, and the most important thing is to come back it up with a good management. So in this context of business and finance, risk refers to a potential for financial loss or negative consequences associated with investment, business venture or decision making process. Now let's go to management. Management can be defined as a process of planning, organizing, leading and controlling resources such as people, finances and materials in order to achieve specific goals and objectives. So, I gave an instance of holding a picnic in a park. When there is a good management, there has to be a backup plan ahead of time. I'm so sorry, I want to bring up a story. I said I'm going to tell more of story than my slides. I remember when I was executive in Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria in Ibadan here. So there was a time we want to do our banquet, and then the president was like, okay, bro Femi, let's do this. We are going to University of Ibadan, the Love Garden, to do the banquet. And it was the rainy season. I felt like, sir, How about we just use another better place? He said, we need to use a serene environment, so that even when we are doing it, people can come and can invite people. I said, okay, that's good. But me, I'm not even a risk management person then, but I just like facing reality. So I told him that, okay, if that be the case, let's have a backup plan. He said, no, let's go ahead. Okay. Then we go. When we get there, we were just having just the opening prayer before the rain started. And I was like, they were like, let's run, let's look for a place to hide. I said, no, let's just wait till, so I made it compulsory. And after 15 minutes, though, God gave us the weather. But then, what am I trying to bring out there is that I already saw the risk in holding a program in a rainy season. And I come up with a better plan to mitigate it. I said, let's look for another place in case the rain fall. But because it's not listing, where everybody was wet under that rain that day. So that applies to business owners. Whenever you want to go into a business, you need to take into cognizance, check your competitors. How far are they be going? What are the measures they use over the years? What are their plannings? What are their strategic plans before you venture into business? So now, I will. I'm so sorry about this slide. I didn't really do much this thing. So now, combining these two words together, risk management is the process of identifying, assessing, controlling threats to an organization capital, earnings, and operationals. These risks stem from a various source, including uncertainty, legal liability, technology issues, strategic management errors, accidental and natural disasters. Like I said earlier on, anything you want to do in your life, you must always look at the implications. Okay, I use TaskiConnect as an example, as an instance. If you didn't start by identifying risk. For example, I can give you back then in 2001, before MTN came into existence in Nigeria, you know, there was one thing they did that really struck me when I read about them. What did they do? They did a risk profiling about Nigeria, and they realized that, okay, this Nigeria might not really be a country we can actually invest in by bringing our telecom into. But they look at the juicy part of Nigeria. And what is the juicy part of Nigeria? Back then, Nigeria has over 170 million population, and that is enough for them. And my grandmother normally say something. You say, "Ọmọ sọ pé if your plus is more better than your minus, then you should go for it. But when your minus is much more than the plus, then eradicate that decision." So I believe they go for it because the plus is far better than minus. Because you can imagine if 170 million people can just say hello to one another, that means they are swimming in money. That's a very, very good strategic planning. They have identified, they've do risk profiling about Nigeria, but they realize that, okay, if we do this thing, we can actually we can actually still make our money regardless. Until today, they are still standing. Till today, if I want to ask us now, quite a lot of us are using MTN for this meeting. Data is another thing. Data is life. So I proceed. Because our convener said we have just 20 minutes for the presentation. So please, if you have any question along the line, please you can actually come ask me any question at any point of time. So now I hope you are all seeing my screen. I hope I'm not just rapping since. Can you please let me know if I'm still on the right track? Hope you are all seeing my
Yes,
screen and hope you are all following.
yes, we are
Yeah.
following you.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we have risk categorization. And this categorization is something every business owner should take into cognizance, because quite a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners has failed in identifying these things. So I'm going to start with operational risk. When we say operational risk has to do with people, the kind of people you put into business, the kind of people you partner with, ensuring that the objective of the business keep running. I think about 10 years, a decade from now, quite a lot of bankers, apart from their salaries, they said, okay, let me just put in vehicles outside. They invest in transportation. What do they do? They will buy danfo or keke, or they'll just ensure they buy all these things and give it out to people without a proper assessment of the kind of person you are giving it to. They just give it out, okay, oh, you'll be delivering to me every week or every month. And I must tell you the truth, the result of all these things does not really come out good. It has never come out good. Because the people you are giving into, they will believe that, okay, you that you are a banker, you are okay now. This is another way for me to just eat money and be fine. Tomorrow they will tell you and the car break down. Tomorrow they'll tell you last month did this. Tomorrow they'll tell you this. So if you don't put, if you don't, define your risk profile, your risk statement, your risk appetite for the person you are doing the business with, your partners. If you don't have a risk statement, that your risk appetite, that will tell you that, okay, oh, this is what I want, this is what I want about the business, this is my expectation from you, you know you might not really make it. And that is the main reason why eventually it turns to most of the case eventually end up in court. The lawyer will take from you, the what's it called, the magistrate will take from you, the court will take from you, so even the police officer will take from you. Eventually you are at loss. And that's the main reason why many business have shut down. There's no proper you know plan. There's no proper risk management in place for it. Now we have regulatory risk. you know if anyone wants to go into any business, let's say probably someone that wants to go into a manufacturing business like pure water. One thing you need to take into cognizance is NAFDAC approval. If you don't have their approval, if you don't know their code and conduct, their regulations, and you venture into it without even doing a proper research or proper putting a proper risk management. Risk management has to do with the business unit as a whole. Everybody, the business unit as a whole. Because even at from your planning, from the onset, when you are thinking about it, think about what could affect the business. Quite a lot of people think about the sources, the juicy part of it alone. It is very easy to think about the juicy part of it, but we don't take into cognizance what could actually affect our business and what will actually make our business capsize. So regulatory risk, it's something you need to take into cognizance. There are quite a lot of business people that do clearing and forwarding. They might not really know the regulations that is attached or that is attached towards their business. There are some things that have been banned by the regulators that they don't even know. It is when they now bring those products to Nigeria after spending millions of naira before they will now come to realize that there is a particular code of conduct or there's a particular policy that has talked about this particular product, that it is banned. But because you don't know about it, you have failed. You have lose a lot of money. Then I go to strategic risk. This strategic risk is something people has failed woefully. Many business owners. How? I will tell you how. Quite a lot of people go into business because my friends is doing it. Because this person said, oh, I'm Bell, let me go into it. Or because my friends are into oil and gas, because they are into oil and gas, you can pull me through. One thing that is very important about strategic risk is passion. How passionate are you? Are you doing it because someone is doing it? Are you doing it because it's a family thing? It is very, very important you put a very good strategic plan in place for you to navigate every choppy waters. Because when you don't have a good strategic plan, this is the sole problem. Before you start any business, a strategic plan should be in place, so that even when those things are coming, when the uncertainty are coming, you can still stand firm. Before pandemic, nobody knew COVID-19 will come and disrupt operations. Nobody knew. In fact, the pandemic has made so many business go into the work from home policy. If not because quite a lot of them that are doing work from home have a strong risk management plan most of them would have failed till today. I will give an example about strategic plan. I will use Lacasera as an example. In 2001, Lacasera came into Nigeria. And what did they do? Coca-Cola has been in existence for so many years, so many years. But what did they do? They realized that this is our real competitor. But if we are to do the same product they are doing, it means we might not live up to their standard. It means we might fail woefully. And what did they do? They come with another product related to Coca-Cola, but in another dimension, which is apple fruit. Apple fruit. So they come up with it and they were doing absolutely very fine. Till today, when they did their 10 years in 2014, they celebrated, they even told us the challenges they faced, but because they had a very good strategic plan in place, they were able to navigate choppy waters. Then the next one, we have liquidity risk. Liquidity risk has to do with people that, how am I going to put this? When you have like a bank giving out money without getting the money back. We are facing the same thing with CBN recently. CBN, we have scarcity of naira these days. And by the time I did my research, I come to realize that, many people are withdrawing money into their own house, putting it in one place, putting it in OPay, putting it in Kuda, putting it in this. The money is not going back to the bank. And CBN cannot continue printing money. How long are we going to continue doing that? At first, I was angry that why is there scarcity of naira? But when I did research, I realized that the money is not coming back to the bank. So the fact that it's not coming back to the bank become a liquidity risk. So that is the main reason why we have scarcity of naira in Nigeria right now. Then we have credit risk. Then the credit risk has to do with people. Let me say I did a consultant for a financier recently, and what did they do that is violating the risk? They are finance house, but they violate the rule of loaning out, giving out, disbursing money that is more than 20% of their capital. Single obligor. When CBN leave that policy, he said you are not, as a finance house, you are not supposed to lend out money 20% of your capital, no, to a single person. It is very very wrong, because by the time you lend out money to a single person, you are already by the time you lend out money to a single person, you are already that can actually bring your company down when you don't have a strong risk management plan in place. So let's move forward. Now we have four risk management process, which is very important for every business. Number one is risk identification. Risk identification is the first thing that we should take into cognizance whenever we want to do any business. Okay, we lay a project down. This is the vision. We talk about how, okay, this is what we want to do, and in the next 2 years we should be good with this, we should do with that. Now we have done that. What we have to brainstorm to identify the risk behind this our particular project. Let me give you an instance. One day I did a consultant for a company, and then the manager, the MD, called me into his office after the consultancy. So I entered his office and he was like, okay, Mr. Femi, how are you doing? So fine. There is a particular thing that is happening in this office I don't understand. So can you tell me what could be the potential, the significant and the potential risk in this my office that could stop my operation in this office? Then I said to him, I go outside of his office and I come inside back. I said, I realized that you are using key. So the first thing that the potential risk for your office is your key. Who is holding your key? Is it your secretary? Are you a beneficiary to the key also, or is the receptionist? Then he said it's only the receptionist that has his key. I said that is a very big risk, because imagine if you have an international or an important meeting to have, and you have already planned to do that in your office, and the receptionist come and tell you that, sir, I couldn't find your key. How do you handle the situation? He said, this is a very serious. Then I gave him a recommendation. The best thing right now is you have your own key. Then a receptionist have his own key. Give your secretary the key also. So you have three people in house. If you forget your key, you can get it from secretary. If you forget from secretary, you can get it from receptionist. But this does not mean the risk is still not there. The risk is still there. What is the risk? Because any one of them can come to his office when he's not around to take something. It is another risk on its own. So identifying risk is very important in every organization. Then that takes me to risk assessment. I think I'm taking it to another realm. So I'm still on identification. So now I'm going to assessment. So that is when I will come up with a better explanation of what I'm about to say. So now I told him that he needs to have three keys: one for himself, one for secretary, one for the reception. So now, in risk assessment, is you have identified the risk. We have two components in risk assessment. We have the gross risk and we have the residual. So under these two risks, we have impact and likelihood. I'm going to explain that. So the gross risk is the inherent risk of every process. Inherent risk. So for example, I gave an example of the key. The potential risk in his office is when he does not have access to his own office. That's the key. So that is a risk. So being a risk means it is under gross risk because it has been identified. So under the gross risk is when we have impact and likelihood. So what is the impact? The impact is that when he does not have the key to his own office, that means he cannot do anything for the entire day. Then the likelihood means how often does it comes. Does it mean that is every month he used to misplace his key or something? So that is that. So now the residual risk comes after a proper control have been put in place. And what is the proper control? The proper control is my recommendation of getting two extra keys, which is for himself and also for the receptionist. So making three keys. So a control have been put in place to mitigate that risk. I hope we are all following. So a control have been put in place to mitigate that risk. So that means the risk is still there, but there is a control that will suppress it for a while. So immediately there is a control in place, then that comes the residual risk. So the residual risk is after control have been put in place, the risk that remains after the control have put in place. So if, for instance, if I say the risks of not having two keys is 5, and the impact is 5 and the likelihood is 5, then I put a control of 3, control effectiveness of 3. That means the residual will reduce to like 2 or 1, because the control have reduced, so he can do anything in his office. So I think I'm taking much time. So that goes to risk mitigation and control, which I've explained that in the process of risk assessment. So then I go to the last one, which is risk monitoring and reporting. Risk monitoring and reporting. So when you have compiled this risk together, you've identified risk and you have assessed it, you have put a proper control in place for those risks. That means you should be reporting, monitoring it, how the risks have been doing. That means that, I remember when I was in Access Bank, risk management was built into everybody's role. When I was in Access Bank, I was working as a customer care representative, and if anybody called that, okay, I want you to give me my BVN number, or I want you to tell me about this, I will do what I call profiling. The profiling is to know, okay, what is your date of birth? What is the date of birth of your account? What is the address on your account? What is your mother's middle name? What is your name? I will ask him a lot of questions to confirm that okay, this person is the rightful owner of the account before I proceed to give him any information. So risk monitoring, after everything has been put in place, you need to go there, you need to go back to the, you used to have a risk registrar that will help you to know, okay, this risk, last time we did it, it was reduced. This time it is still it is still medium. We have low, high, we have low, medium, and high. Please, if you have any question, you can please come up with any question even as I'm speaking. So risk monitoring has to do with you monitoring those risks and reporting it how it has been doing so far. Thank you. So now I'm going to discuss the significance of implementing risk management strategies for business owners to protect their assets, reputation, financial stability, like real life experience that is Volkswagen in 2015 and then Galaxy Note 7 in 2016. So now let's start with Volkswagen. In 2015, Volkswagen, they was embroiled in a scandal when it was revealed that the company has installed a software its diesel vehicle to cheat emission test. We all know what emission test. Emission test is a test they do for every cars to know if it will not cause environmental pollution public issues that will affect the earth, like all these smoke and everything. So they normally do emission tests for every cars when they want to produce it out. But because of this, because to escape this, Volkswagen failed to go to undergo this test. So they installed a software like a cheat. It's just like when you want to go through an exam and you fail to read, then you now want to use another way to bypass, which is bring in a book to copy and to paste and pass the exam. So that's exactly what Volkswagen did that day. And this step actually did what it caused reputational damage to the company, because it took them about 5 to 10 years before they started building their reputation back. Initially, their reputation was damaged in 2015. So there was no a proper risk management plan, because if there was a plan for this risk management plan for this, the risk management of the company will have come and tell you that this thing cannot go. It cannot go. They will have flagged them before they proceed. So that was what happened to Volkswagen. So now we go to Samsung S system and Samsung Galaxy Note 7. The phone, what happened to the phone? I don't know if some of us know about this phone, but I know about it when the issue happened. What they did was that they didn't take into cognizance. Whenever they produce phone, I don't know if you know about it. Whenever they produce a phone, they will produce just one phone. So it is that one phone they will use to distribute every other phones, just like a photocopy. Whenever you have an original copy of something, so you do the photocopy and have multiple copies. So that's exactly what they did. So there was a little mistake in that installation of the battery of the phone. So because they did not take into cognizance, they did not do a proper assessment, and what do I mean by assessment? I think the assessment there was that they should have distributed at least 100 phones to their co-workers, or probably people outside the company, just to test for 1 month or 2 months before they now implement, before they start selling out the phone. But because they didn't do the proper assessment for the phones, that was why they had to face a reputational damage, financial risk, to the extent that investors begin to opt out before during the incident. So taking all these things into cognizance is very important for every business owners. We need to know the right time to put a proper plan, proper risk management plan in every of our business, in order to navigate choppy waters, and in order to protect our reputational reputation, and also our finance. So I benefit of taking proactive approach to risk management. One, identifying and assessing risks. The strategies to mitigate risk. That means you need to identify this risk. When you have identified the risk, it will be easy for you to assess it. And how do you assess it? It is when a risk have been okay. Let me give you another example. I said I will tell more of stories. Recently, I told you I'm a consultant to Capital Bank Corp PLC, and I'm currently doing their risk assessment. I realized that at the long run, there are some risk that they claim is not effective enough. The claim is not effective because there is something we call risk validation, and the risk validation is just to know, okay, these are the risks that exist between the business units. So your own is just to tell us if they exist, they still exist or no or not. So you just need a yes or no. So most of them are just feeling no, 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 no. And I was laughing. So are you telling me that so there has not been high staff turnover? High staff turnover is quite a lot of things. Is a big risk every company in Nigeria is facing right now. High staff turnover is a big risk every company in Nigeria is facing right now because the inflation have affected so many things. The interest rate have affected so many things. Are we to talk about the fuel subsidy removal? Everything, even transportation, everything is now very high. So even staff are not turning up as the normal time they're supposed to do that. So that was the main reason why many companies has ventured into the work from home policy. So you cannot tell me that that risk is not existing because it still exists. So me as a risk manager, I will know that okay, this risk I've identified it already. Now I need to assess it. That okay, this risk you guys are saying it does not exist. Me, I know it exists, but there is a proper control in place. There's a proper control in place. And what is the proper control in place? We ensure that the risk, the company has a work from home policy that they do. Now we have 3 times in a week that they come to the office. So, and then when they come to the office, we ensure that okay, when there's an increase of salary, and there's a proper control in place. Two, develop a risk management plan, of which it has already been done in companies I've worked with. So, but then if you want to do any business, a risk management plan should be in place for it. That is what we call enterprise risk management framework. My colleague is going to talk more about that. So I just want to talk basically on the basic and the fundamental of risk management. So then diversify and spread risk. So now when we talk about diversify and spread risk, we have like I've explained, we have the categories, we have the operational risk, we have the financial risk, we have the market risk, we have the strategic risk. So there are the categories, we have the risk. You have to diversify the one that are more important, the one that can actually affect the business, from achieving its objective. You need to to diversify it, put it at one side. So whenever you are doing your assessment, you let them know that this is the top 10 risk, top 5 risk of this particular project, of this particular business. So they immediately you are doing anything, you'll be able to know that okay, this particular risk is what can affect us for not achieving our aims, our objective of this company. Then I proceed to continuous and monitor and review. So that has to do with the risk monitoring and reporting. You keep on doing that. I think many companies are doing it by annual. So you check it for half year, you check it at the end of the year to know how the risks have been doing so far. Then we collaborate and seek experts. Now this is where many people don't know, they don't know the importance. Collaborate and seek experts. Many people don't want to seek consultants, risk management consultant. They don't want to do that because by the time they tell you that okay, if you want me to consult you concerning a risk, or you want me to develop a risk management plan for you, or you want me to do a enterprise risk management framework for your business in order to navigate choppy water, I'm going to take 400,000, I'm going to take 500. They'll be like, no, no, I don't want. They will do it themselves. So they don't want to seek advice from the experts because of the probably the charges of what the expert will do for you. But you don't know that these people are doing a favor that will last you more than 2 decades, more than 3 decades. Seeking and collaborating with an expert will really help you. Many large business now, they are into they are employing more consultants into their business now because they believe in independence. independent reporting, and independent assessment. So they are bringing in consultants from different firms to educate them much more about risk management because they know the importance of risk management. Now, this might be the last slide of me, so my next slide, because there are quite a lot of things I put into this. I said I won't talk about it, so but I believe I've mentioned most of the point. Now, the benefit of taking a proactive approach to risk management is early identification of risk. When you have identified the risk even before the project starts, it will really help you a lot. Then it will improve decision making. So now you have identified the risk, you know that okay, this risk might affect us. Then that is when decision making comes in. To be like, okay, now we know that this thing might happen. So what do we do to ensure that we mitigate this particular risk from happening and from affecting our project? Let me give you an instance about this. I said I was working at Access Bank. So something happened. My office then was at Lekki, the Sandfield. There's this Access Bank building there. So something happened one time. There is a particular guy that was working as CC ombudsman. It's another department in Access Bank. So then something happened. The guy did not come to the office for 1 week. So because he did not come to the office and there's no notification, there's no doctor report, it is like they're going to deduct it from his salary. So what did he do? A day before they send out HR, before the HR will send out reports, what's it called? The payroll report to the management. He came because he had a friend in HR department. So he came there, he came to the office. And we normally have this our ID card that we use to clock in. So he did not use his ID card to clock in because he knows if he uses ID card to clock in, they will know that he has entered the building. So he did not use that. So what did he do? He stayed until someone is coming. How you doing? Shake that person and yeah, that one use his own ID card. Blam, he entered. So immediately he entered, he took the lift and goes straight to the HR floor. When he get there, he saw his friend. That one was very, very funny. That one was already doing the report already. He was just about to send it out. So he waited until that his friend goes out of his office because that one already prorates his salary. So immediately he do that, the guy just step out to use the toilet. So he stepped into his office and change the details, ensure that he is also paid his full salary. Immediately you do that, the other guy came in without knowing anything. He just sent it directly, and lucky enough, they send him the money. They send him his full salary. But what happened after? When they were doing the management meeting, they come to realize that okay, this particular person was not in office for like 1 week. So how come his salary was not prorated? So that was when the HR department was questioned, and they were like, I did it, I did it, I did it. So when they were doing it, they checked the report. They realized that he did not do anything, and you are shouting he did it. But the guy insisted that he did it. He actually prorated his this thing. They said because he's his friend, so they are going to sack him. That becomes a very big issue that time. But luckily enough, someone just said, okay, if that be the case, maybe there was CCTV camera in the office. Then they said, okay, let's go to the IT department. Then the IT department came. They realized that okay, this guy was not in office that day according to the ID card, but he entered the office. And he entered the office. They saw how he changed everything. The guy was put behind the bars, and he was sacked, was put also behind the bars for what he did. So when you have already if imagine there was no proper uh planning ahead of that time. Well, that means if there was no CCTV camera that time, he has already escaped the down floor, which is the clock in. So there is a backup plan. That is when risk management is very important. There is a backup plan for it. So if there was no backup plan in HR floor, that means they will not know anything, and the innocent guy will be sacked. So I move to the next one, which is enhancing operational efficiency. So when everybody is aware that this particular, there's one thing they call about risk. There's one thing they call risk appetite. Every company, every business owner should have a risk appetite, And what is risk appetite? Is for you to let everyone, like your own, the kind of maximum risk you can take for your business, the maximum risk you can take for your business. That is the main reason why you need to have a risk appetite, so that whenever something is going wrong, you can say, omo, we are falling behind the schedule, we cannot go ahead with this particular thing. So it is when effective, what's it called, risk management is built into the role of employees, people that partner with you. Everybody is risk conscious. Everybody will be risk conscious, so they won't want to make any mistake that will jeopardize the image of the company, or that will affect the objective of the company. Then safeguarding reputational and brand image. I've slightly talked about that. Then if everyone is risk conscious, they will know that, okay, no, we shouldn't go beyond this, we should do this and we should do that. Then lastly, we have I can't see what is written. Okay, competitive advantage. Yes, I haven't talked about the competition, your competitor, even as a small business owners. You need to take into cognizance how your business competitor have been doing so far. I made an example about La Casera. La Casera did a proper planning before they even venture into their own business. You need to see how your competitors have been doing. Coca-Cola have been in existence for so many decades, and they are still standing till date. If they like, they will carry their Coca-Cola price. Now it is 250, abi 300. If they like, they take it to 500. People will still buy it. People that will buy will still buy it, because they have already built the relation, they have already built their reputation to the extent that they believe that, okay, Coca-Cola is the best thing we can take. So like I said, I've seen this, so they see their competitors, they learn from them, they even do much more better, something they are not doing. They come up with another product that can actually, be very good to consumers, and consumers will, they will embrace it. And that is why you need to take into cognizance. These are the benefits you will enjoy when you have a strong and proactive um, risk management. So thank you very much. I really appreciate. Thank you very much.